Another one no one asked for. At least, I never heard anyone asking for a Gothic reimagining. A remaster? Sure, but a game that claims to be in the spirit of Gothic while not really being Gothic? I don't really know. Longtime viewers of this channel know that Gothic 1 and 2 are among my favorite games. I often use them as examples when discussing immersion, world building, reactivity, and RPG design. A while back I played the first demo or playtest of this new Gothic remake, and to say I was unimpressed would be an understatement. It felt nothing like Gothic to me and introduced features I would consider anti-Gothic. Let's only take one example. The entrance into the colony, for instance, was overly dramatic, reminiscent of mainstream media's 3 explosion per minute approach, completely missing the essence and atmosphere of Gothic. With that being said, this new demo is an improvement. I won't deny that I approached it with skepticism, but I did warm up to it somewhat. The premise here is simple. We play as Nyras, who has just been thrown into the colony. Our main objective is to reach the old camp, but the path is blocked and we need a place to sleep for the night until the rubble is cleared. To achieve this, we can complete a basic questline for some of the new camp guys, which allows us to stay in their camp. However, this demo offers very little content, making it difficult to draw broad conclusions. So let's break it down. The game looks good. The graphics, while not technically groundbreaking, serve the game well. The art style, models, items, and general design are clearly inspired by the original Gothic, with some small expansions to certain areas, an improvement in my opinion, as long as it remains faithful to the world design. It does seem to be a little bit too bright, too cheery, a little bit out of place for the grim reality of the Valley of Mines, but granted, the demo takes place during a sunny day. The sound design is solid as well, featuring recognizable throwbacks such as the same death scream from Gothic 1 of the main protagonist. The music is mostly the original soundtrack with some takes on it, which fits rather well, but the track selection feels a little bit off. The Gothic games always knew when to push the music into the background to let the atmosphere shine. Whereas this remake seems to overuse dramatic tracks at inappropriate moments. However, this also could be a feature of the demo only, as they maybe wanted to show off some of the original soundtrack again and their takes on it, and to provoke some feeling of nostalgia. How all of this will play out in the final game remains to be seen. One of my biggest gripes here is the removal of player agency. The protagonist talks to himself, perhaps an attempt to mimic Geralt's iconic one-liners from The Witcher. Regardless, it's annoying. Even worse, the game takes away freedom by forcing the player into certain actions. I shouldn't sleep in this bed, I should do this, I shouldn't do that. Please, Gothic Remake devs, take the training wheels off. Gothic was always about choice and consequence, even when those choices were incredibly stupid. Here's another example. What if I want to throw myself off a cliff and end it all? Why am I prevented from doing so? In the original Gothic, that kind of freedom was part of the experience. Also, such seemingly stupid decisions could lead to more exploration, to you reaching areas that you haven't reached or seen before. The original Gothic games often rewarded you for behavior like this, for trying out things and for going into places where it seems death is certain. The movement feels floaty and unresponsive, worse than the original. The combat is a clear downgrade. The lock-on camera is awkward, attacks feel delayed, and combat has a hitting underwater effect. The attack animations are less varied, and player input is more limited. With the one-handed sword, I only had 2 attack directions, a block and a backward dodge. Gone are the days of fluid swings controlled with movement keys. The eating animations are terrible. You don't even see what you're eating, a detail from the original game, mind you. NPC behavior is also inconsistent. Sometimes they fight wildlife, sometimes they don't, and even when they do, there are no accompanying voice lines like "so much for you, damn beast" that we're used to from the original games. Another major complaint here, NPCs outright kill you for attacking them. In Gothic 1 and 2, combat dynamics were different. If you crossed a certain line, you would get taken out. In this remake, NPCs seem to have a zero tolerance policy even when you're fighting unarmed. I tried punching a guy and he didn't even pull out his weapon, but he punched me instead, knocked me down, and stomped me American History X style. So I don't know what that was about. There is a scripted duel in the demo where you only get knocked down, proving that the mechanics for non-lethal fights exist. Yet they don't seem to be implemented consistently. Also, I didn't see NPCs looting me after knocking me down. Well, I guess they did technically kill me, so I didn't get to see anything. Another strange decision is that when you open the menu, the game actually is not pausing. I don't know why. I don't know why you would do this, especially in a single-player RPG. And in an RPG that's not an ARPG, and that's not prone to having you play Iron Man or whatever hardcore, I'm confused by this decision. I realize I'm nitpicking, but this is because I love Gothic so much. When a game claims to be a remake of Gothic, it needs to capture the essence of what made the original special. So far, I'm skeptical that this will be the case. Instead, this seems like a modernized version that retains some Gothic elements while diverging in key areas to appeal to a broader audience. There's nothing wrong with that, but I guess there is something wrong with trying to sell it to the original fans as something that is faithful to the original. This demo is better than the first one, but for Gothic fans, I believe we already got what we wanted. It's called Chronicles of Myrtana. As for this remake, we'll see when it launches, but at best, it looks like we're getting a modern RPG with Gothic-inspired aesthetics rather than a faithful remake or upgrade to the classic.